Welcome to the Profitable Cleaner podcast. Join your hosts, James Harper and Angel Sandoval, bringing you the experts, discussions, and knowledge you want. We talk about sales, technology, marketing, operations, strategy, leadership, mindset, health, God, and so much more. Now, are you ready to profit?
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Profitable Cleaner podcast. I'm rolling solo today in terms of co-hosting, so it's just me hosting. I'm James Harper, but I'm with my man, the myth, the legend, Dan Schindler. Dan, how you doing on this beautiful Friday morning, man?
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So there's a specific reason that we have you back on the show. Number one, I think we could do multiple episodes with you and just have the ability to learn from someone like you. But specifically, we're releasing 3 special episodes for 3 special award winners that we gave out at our Cleaning Profits event. And Dan, you were the one that was awarded our Visionary Award, you along with Integrity Facility Solutions. So I just want to congratulate you once again, man. We never gave awards. We didn't know who these awards would receive, but when we sent out the survey and we got all the information back, it just made sense that, like, not only do you have a great business, you have a great vision for your business, for your team, and I think just overall for the people around you in the industry. When you got that award, Dan, I'm just curious, man, like what went through your head? No one knew we were giving awards. You didn't know you were going to win the Visionary Award. I think that might have been the last one or the second to last one.
Yeah, it was the last
what
one.
Went through your head? Yeah, what went through your head, man?
I was just really excited. You know, it really initially I think you tried to give the award first, and then Angel stopped and said, "No, we got to do that one last because of the way the PowerPoints were set up or whatever." And when you did the initial, I didn't give it a second thought. I was like, okay, I didn't really think about it. But then when you were like, the Visionary Award goes to Dan Schindler and this and that, I was really taken back. I mean, it was awesome. It was great to be recognized. And, I appreciate you guys for recognizing what we've done because it has, it's just, I don't know. It's a great, I kind of feel like you guys put me in the category of Walt Disney at that moment. So I was super pumped about it.
Well, all the credit goes to you guys, man. And I think what's cool about it too is I saw your team's reaction. So for those of you guys listening that weren't there, Dan brought some team members with him, and I thought it was awesome to just watch the people that are in the trenches with you on a daily basis, like how excited that they got for you. I actually want to start there, man, because I think we talk about vision and we put that on one person, right? But to create a vision, it takes multiple people, man. Talk to me about why you kind of bring your team places. It's like almost everywhere you go.
So what I learned years ago is I would go to these events and I would get back, and regardless of how many notes I took or how inspired I felt, I could never bring that back and translate it to the actual event itself. You just have to be there and experience it. You can't not experience it. And so since that moment, over the years, we've done Grant Cardone events. I try to get the team and to me, it's like the cost. They're still talking about the Denver event. They want to have in our weekly meetings, they want to recap hey, remember what we learned in Denver, or remember what we talked about at the event, or so the impact is 1,000% more than you would ever get just trying to take notes and translate it to your team. So, and I heard other companies just oh, next year we're bringing our team. We got to get the whole team here. And, because it is just that sense of unless you're there experiencing it, you really don't get it. And then on the other,
I was just going to add there, sorry to cut you off, Dan. I think that's really well said, man. And I think a lot of leaders miss that point. They try to be the gatekeeper of the knowledge and then spread it. But there always seems to be a gap when you try to transcend that knowledge if someone's not there in person.
Yeah. And, the team building aspect of it, even what we did after hours, getting outside of the office space. And I think before the event, one of the days we went downtown Denver and played putt-putt golf. And so just to be able to get with your team, get out of the office, get away from the daily grind, get to know people a little bit, have fun, laugh. I mean, we laughed so hard that whole weekend, my stomach was hurting by the time we got back to Dallas. So it was just such a great time. So yeah.
I think it was just so cool to like watch like leaders like yourself that's been in the industry for decades, right? Just be like so like humble and willing to learn. And one thing Angel and I say on the show a lot is like leaders are learners. And I think I know that you'd agree with that statement. And then you have to learn or continually learn to create a vision. I want to talk about the evolution of vision and the evolution of vision when it comes to your company. Maybe give people that, I know we've had you on the show before, but maybe give people that maybe this is their first episode listening, like where you started and where you're at now, and how has that vision evolved? Not just one time, I'm sure multiple times. Just talk to me about that evolution and how you continue to expand that.
Give you the short version since we're doing a shorter podcast today. But I started in the janitorial business at age 12. And, back then it was very minimal tasks, just helping my dad, and then at age 16, I was basically running two different janitorial businesses. My dad and my uncle both had competing businesses, ironically enough, in Denver. My uncle had about 20 customers. My dad cleaned the same building for 26 plus years. And so they were both in a car wreck when I was 16, and I ended up kind of being thrust into managing 40-year-old guys and just kind of, so I would say that, from the early perspective, janitorial was in my blood early on. I tried to get rid of janitorial out of my life. Like I literally tried. I went to college to pursue a career in aviation. I did, and it kept pulling me back in, and so I got to the point where I finally just embraced it. And then, kind of what happened, and this will kind of tee into the visionary piece of it, was early on what I recognized now looking back is that my vision was too small. I just had this vision of I get to the $1 million mark and I've arrived. And so when I got to the $1 million mark, annual revenue, I literally took 2 years off. I was in my hangar working on airplanes. I was goofing off. I mean, I was kind of like, I've arrived. I'm at the $1 million mark. Nobody in my family had ever done that before. Nobody in my inner circle had ever done that in the janitorial business. And so I was like, man, I've arrived. And then I just woke up one day and I was like, there is so much more potential in this business. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm young. I got all this energy. Like, why am I wasting my life away by not putting all the effort I can into this business? And so then I started making the big goals, like the $100 million goals, and it's like, so anyway, that's kind of the short version of it.
I think that's interesting, man. I want to tee in right there. I think that $1 million mark is important, right? You do have to hit it in business, and a lot of people achieve to it. We strive for that, right? I think business is more about the journey versus the destination. And I think that goes into vision is really, you forecast the destination, but you have to kind of envision the journey along the way. What went into that wake up call when you were at the $1 million, $2 million mark to be like, you know what, we're going to go after it? Like what changed there? Were you just like sick and tired of being comfortable, or was there a certain moment that you're like, no, we got to go bigger?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of both, actually. Just I like to live a pretty extravagant lifestyle. I like a lot of toys. I've got a pretty cool car collection, and so I just when I was younger, not so much anymore, but when we were raising the kids and all those things, I like the big houses and, all that stuff. The American dream, I guess you could say. And so I realized that, part of it was that at the $1 million mark, I wasn't going to be able to maintain the lifestyle that I wanted to have. And, one of the unique things about being in the aviation industry, and I happen to be at my hangar today sitting in front of my airplane, but one of the unique things about being when I was transitioning, trying to get out of the janitorial side, I was going into aviation, and I became a flight instructor. And so for a period of time, from about 1997 to 2000-ish, 2001, when we started moving towards starting our company, I got the opportunity, because of being a flight instructor, to be around other men that were multimillionaires. For the most part, you don't go fly airplanes unless you're young and you go, you finance it to the hills and you're trying to pursue a airline career. But a lot of the guys that I met were multimillionaires. One's, 25 years later, I just had lunch with him the other day. He's still my good friend, and he's an electrical contractor, and he's doing $20 million a year in that business. And, so I got inspired early on. And so because I was around these other guys, it really led me to believe, like, what is the potential in the janitorial business? It's more than $1 million. I knew that. But what is the actual real potential of the business, and why am I just sitting here? And so being around, they say, and I think I've said this before on maybe at the event, but you're the sum total of the 5 people you hang around. And fortunate enough for me, I was able to hang around some very wealthy dudes that were, happened to be in aviation with me. And so, just seeing the potential that these other guys have in their businesses and going, man. And so it's kind of fun now, because it's a race. Not only have I caught up to this guy that I've considered my mentor, but now, like, when we meet for lunch, it's like, now we're in the $100,000 revenue markers, trying to beat each other on where we're at in revenue, and we're in completely two different businesses. But it's fun to connect with him and kind of drive and be like, I'm catching up with you, and I always tease him because he was in the business 15 years before I even got started, and I've already caught up with him, about ready to pass him up, so it's fun from that side.
All right, hang with me for the next minute and a half. We got a quick break here in the Profitable Cleaner, because we're officially official. It's like I like to say it. Why? Because I get to take this break and introduce our sponsors. First sponsors is USource. So go to usource.com. That's usource.com. This is a business management platform for facility services companies. No more chaos, unnecessary admin work, or just having to consolidate information. This is about you not being the source of information anymore, and having a platform that can give you accessibility, visibility, and control over your operation. So see more, do more, whether you're 1 employee or 3,000 employees. This is the platform for you. So check out our sponsor, usource.com. Our second sponsor, dayporter.com. They will help you with all your outbound, LinkedIn, email, call, and they're going to do it with a team from Latin America. So make sure that you reach out to them, dayporter.com. They can help you hire your next superstar and give you the strategies to go book the walkthroughs that you're looking for. The third one is going to be Melgar Consulting. That's alexmelgar.com. If you're hovering around the $5 million range and you're in the facility services industry, want to hit those 20, want to keep bumping your head and really want to scale, he is going to be able to consult and help you have the right foundation, the right structure, and the right strategies, and the right advisory and consulting to get you past those 5 to 20 million. So go to alexmelgar.com. And last but not least, our fourth sponsor, cleaningprofits.com. That is our annual event for facility services, CEO, executive teams, leadership teams. Bring them out. This is all about transformation. It's all about training. It's all about community. And it's held once a year, this year, September 12th to the 14th. So thank you once again to all of our sponsors, and let's continue on to the show.
I think that's important what you just said, man. I love that saying, and I fully believe in it, that you're the average of the 5 people that you're with the most, which is why, like, if you're listening right now, it's really important not just to have industry mentors. Like, yeah, of course, industry mentors are important, but just to have mentors in general, mentors in a spiritual sense, mentors in a relational family sense, mentors in any type of business. Like you said, your mentor is not in janitorial, and you were able to gain some knowledge. I'm curious now, Dan, a guy like yourself, you've obviously casted that vision. You've skyrocketed through a lot of that vision. What's the vision now for someone that's been doing this for decades? You've achieved new heights that once upon a time you probably didn't think you'd hit. Like, how do you how do you create that vision now? What's next? And then how do you give that to your team? Make sure that they're all bought in.
Yeah, I think part of it, especially at the level that I'm at, is really, I think the vision starts with the dream first. I know, like, if you look up vision in the dictionary, it talks about, dream and vision kind of go hand in hand, or a lot of times dream equals vision or type of thing. I look at it a little bit different than that. The dream is kind of when I'm sitting alone and I'm thinking about it, but then to actually like do the vision and execute the vision and get the team to like believe the vision. The number one thing when you're trying to cast vision is the team has to believe what you're saying. And that starts with the core of who you are as an individual. Number one, you can't get a team to adapt to any vision whatsoever if they don't trust you. They don't trust your leadership. They don't trust your integrity. They don't trust who you are as an individual. It doesn't matter how much vision you cast or how grandiose you try to paint the picture or you do all that. If your team doesn't trust you, you're not gonna move forward at all. And so the first thing you've got to do before you can even cast the vision is get that team trust built and get the team to really embrace the fact that you as a leader can be trusted. And then once you know that your team trusts you, then you can start making those moves, because sometimes when you're trying to build a company or you're trying to move a certain direction, as the CEO or the leader of the organization, I'm going to see things that other people don't see. And in order for me to say, hey, we need to make a hard left turn here, sometimes when you're in those situations, you don't have the time to stop and explain why we need to make a hard left turn. But if you have the trust of the team's going to be like, okay, I trust you. We're going to make this hard left turn. And then success or failure, what I try to do in successes is I give the team credit. Like, man, as a team, we really made this happen. But the other key and the biggest key on building the trust piece of it is that when failures happen, the leader's got to take full responsibility. They got to be able to say, you know what, this is on me. I asked you guys to make that hard left turn. We made it. You guys trusted me. We rolled with it. And then the next, if it failed for whatever reason, then it failed. And, I take full responsibility for that. And so I think in order to cast vision, like I said, you got to be able to have a trusting team that will actually just know that
Yeah, knows that you'll follow through with like not just the big things, the little things, right? I think that's so well said, man, and I think that's awesome. Like, yeah, give the credit to the team for when it works, because ultimately they're the ones that probably executed a lot of what you asked of them. And then if plans do fail, which you will fail in business, that's a decision that lies on the leader's shoulders ultimately. It's funny how like God works in mysterious ways. I knew I was doing this podcast with you today. We're approaching year end. If you're listening to this, we're in November now. So I'm thinking like about 2024. And I wasn't sure what I was going to listen to in the gym this morning. Like, did I want to listen to music, a podcast? I just picked the first video that came up on my YouTube thing. And I don't even know the gentleman's name. I should, but he was talking about quantum leaps and how he grew a business from like, I think it was like 10 million to like $1 billion, right? He's an old school Goldman and Sachs guy. But he said, I had to start believing in quantum leaps. And he started talking about vision. And he's like, if you think about it, children have the most vision out of anyone before they even hit school age. They don't know how to walk, talk, do anything. They don't even know what some objects are, and they fail continuously. They get up, they try to walk, they fall down, bump their head. It doesn't stop them. They keep going because they have this vision of, I need to walk, I need to communicate, I want to express. And he was like, I heard that analogy and I applied it to my business. Like, we're so damn comfortable that we're not even trying to like stand up and fall to learn. So quantum leaps, vision, God, and now we're having this conversation. And I know you're a man of faith, Dan, so I think it's just awesome that it kind of all connected for me this morning. I'm going to ask you a total random question here. I know a lot of visionaries. Visionaries have a few things in common. One of the things that they have in common is like manifestation. when you hear the word manifestation, what's that mean to Dan? And do you believe in it?
I do. I believe that the power in the tongue. Whatever you speak out, well, and like you said, I'm a man of faith, so I believe in God and God's blessing. Some you'll hear on these, different podcasts. Well, whatever the universe brings you, or whatever. But I believe that whatever you speak out will come to pass. Because if you're manifesting a negative attitude, you're manifesting, what was me, my life is falling apart, all of those type of things, then that pattern continues to happen. At some point, if your life is falling apart, and life happens, there's no doubt that life happens. I've been in those situations where I've woke up one day and didn't know if my business was going to survive until noon that afternoon. And, so life happens. So I don't, so yeah, positive words are all great and all that, but it's a matter of taking a split second. I call it the 20-minute rule. And what I do is if I have any major catastrophe in my life, any kind of major hit, I lost a big contract or whatever it is, I give myself 20 minutes to get over it. And then I move on. And I think it's the ability to, from manifesting things, it's having your mindset right. Like if I'm going to manifest $100 million company, it's more than just talk, and it's execution. Because back to what I was saying earlier, you can cast vision. If I did that for 5 years in my company and they never saw any movement forward, they would lose trust in me. They would say, oh, well, we're doing the town hall again. This is the same thing you said last year, and we didn't accomplish anything at all last year. And so in order to manifest something, you got to take that first step forward towards that thing that you're trying to manifest. If you don't take that first step, you procrastinate. What I see most people guilty of is that they continually plan, but they never take that first step forward. They write down business plans. They do this. They've got big grandiose plans for whatever it is they're going to do, but they're always talking about it, and there's all talk and no action, as they say. And so I think in order to manifest something, it's a little more than positive talk. It's got to be what I like to call reverse engineering. If I'm trying to get to, let's just say there's somebody listening to this and they're trying to get to their first $1 million, reverse engineer that. Like, am I in the right market? Am I in the market that will support that $1 million? If you're in a town of people with 15,000 people in the town and there's not another town around you for 100 miles, you probably need to move. And so it's the ability to get uncomfortable, move, go to a city that has a population of 1 million so that you have half a chance to get to that goal that you're trying to get to. What I see is people get stuck, so they can't, maybe they have the vision, they're trying to manifest it, but they're afraid to make the move that it takes to actually make the vision come to pass, which sometimes either means you're uncomfortable or maybe you got to move geographically to get where you need to go to get the vision. And so I don't know if that answered your question, but.
Totally. No, I think you're absolutely right. I think you hear vision, you hear manifestation, but like ultimately you have to create movement before you're ready. And I mean, if you think about it, like I'm really never ready to make big movement, but I know that massive change requires massive action. I never feel 100% confident in it, but once you start moving and you feel progress, even if it's incremental progress, like you elevate your mind, you elevate your progress, and then that's kind of what plays into, for me, the manifestation is 100% that moving towards it, right? But you also have to have the belief before you make the move, even if you're not ready. The belief that, like, hey, I have unwavering faith that this is going to work out. Even if it doesn't work out, I'm going to learn something along the way. So, Dan, I love this, man. Like I said, we wanted to keep this to 20 minutes. We wanted to acknowledge you as just the visionary award winner at our Cleaning Profits event, man. Like, and for those listening, like if you just didn't hear it in this 20 minutes, started at 12 and then 16 was running a company. And then once you got to that $1 million mark, you were comfortable for a few years. And now you're way leaps and bounds, quantum leaps above that mark. And it's thanks to the vision. And for those of you that didn't meet Dan at the event, his team possessed that vision. I got that sense right off the bat. And that was probably one of the coolest things. Was it wasn't just from the leader, it was from the squad. It was from the entire crew. So Dan, 2 last questions for you here, man, before I let you go. If someone's listening to this, it doesn't matter what size of company they have. Let's say they're struggling. They're just like, man, I'm in go mode. I'm in the grind. You get how it is, especially in this industry.
Yep.
How does someone break out of that and kind of think about the next 5 moves, the next quantum leap?
So I'm going to assume they're at their last, like they don't want to. The first thing that I would say is, make sure you're passionate about the business. I had one of my director, you met him at the event, Danny Kills. He asked me one time, I was walking down the hallway, and he said, "Hey, do you ever get burned out?" And I was like, "It's impossible to get burned out if you're doing what you're passionate about." And so, people will say to me all the time, like, "How can you be passionate about the janitorial business?" And for me, it's the love of the game. It's the vehicle that I'm using to meet my goals. And so I would say the first thing I would say is make sure you're in the right vehicle. Maybe janitorial is not the right vehicle. Maybe it's, the other thing I would say is get people around you that are experienced, get some mentors, get some coaches. I mean, there's plenty of us out there that will happy to jump on a Zoom call and, in a 10 or 15 minute call can really evaluate where a person is at and kind of see the gaps. And, that 15 minutes could be the very thing that changes everything for them. And so, and the other thing is just like when I was in the worst places in my business, I just woke up every day and I reminded myself, like, why am I here? And for me, from the spiritual aspect, when we started Integrity Facility Solutions, I gave the business to God. I said, "This is your business." And so, being a person of faith, I look at it from every day. I just remind myself that I'm just a steward of what God gave me. And so in order for me to be an effective steward, I have to be obedient to whatever that he wants. And so I've had crossroads where I stop and I'll just say, "God, do you even want me in this business? Because if you don't, then I'm willing to do whatever it is you need me to do." And so, and if someone's not a person of faith, then just reverse engineer yourself through the troubled times. Just remind yourself what the big picture is.
So well said, man. So well said. I love that, man. It's like, God, you steer, I pedal, right?
Yep.
Like I used to have a mentor tell me, like, view your faith, whatever that is, as a bicycle, and just say, listen, the man above, you steer, I pedal.
Yep.
And that's exactly like the message that came through right there. You know what, man? I have a second follow-up question. I'm actually going to end it there because I think that's actually the best part to end it, is because I think we should remember why we're doing this, and it's not about us, right? It's much bigger than that. And that's why, if you guys are listening to it, I think you guys can hear just in the last 20 minutes why someone like Dan, by and large, was well deserving of the Visionary Award winner at our Cleaning Profits event. So Dan, I could talk shop with you all day, brother. I truly appreciate your time. We'll link everything up for people can connect with you on LinkedIn in the show notes. But God bless you, man. And I can't wait to have a follow-up conversation with you, regardless of what that's about, man, because I always just feel like I gain a step forward.
Well, again, thank you guys so much for the award. It really did mean a lot to me. We actually went and bought a new frame for it the other day, so it's getting ready to hang on the wall in our new offices. And so, yeah, I was super excited, and I appreciate you guys honoring me in that respect. It mean a lot to me, and it's just one step in the relationship that we're building. And I definitely look forward to more podcasts with you for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan, and we'll talk to you soon. And for everyone out there, keep staying a profitable cleaner and a profitable leader. Talk to you guys soon.